Hey y'all, Rick Sky here. Welcome back to another live show. And going to be, this is just kind of walk around and talk live here. So if you're watching this at approximately 6:32 p.m. New York City time, this is live. So got a few things that I'm working on currently. And one of those items is a ghost pepper experiment. And I don't know if you've heard of ghost pepper, but it's a very, I think there may only be a few peppers that are hotter. Ghost pepper, also known as Bootjolokia, or Bootjolokia, is super hot. So what I'm going to do is get, and I'll put videos out for all this, but I'm going to get some ghost pepper powder. And I'm going to mix it with some other powders. And the idea is to create a more, what's the word for it? A less serious or a less hot ghost pepper. So I'm not really gonna, well, I wouldn't say I'm gonna delete it. Brad Mavic Air 2 should be here, will be here this week. Unless Corona gets in the way. Yeah, Mavic Air 2 definitely should be here this week. And I cannot wait. Mavic Air 2. I hope you're doing well, man. Good to see you again. So I've been doing this ghost pepper experiment. And so what I'm going to do is take ghost pepper, the powder, and I'm going to mix ghost pepper powder with some other powders. And what I'm going to do with this is potentially create an on the cheap, burn your face off kind of powder that can be used on a variety of different things. And what prompted this is that I got these chips, these ghost pepper chips, absolutely wonderful. But then I went to order more, and they didn't have more at that point in time. And they may now. But I was thinking, you know what? I can do a curbside delivery or a curbside pickup, at whatever grocery store, and I can get the cheap store brand tortilla chips. Maybe even some that have little or no salt added. And then what I can do, and that's what where my ghost pepper experiment is going to come into play. But I'm going to try mixing ghost pepper powder in with a variety of different of other spices. So I'm going to do videos for all of this. But one of the first things I want to do, often if you have something spicy, if you have something that's kind of garlicky and smoky. Layla says, my birthday today, Zach. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. And welcome aboard. That's awesome. I'd ask you how old you are, but I guess that's rude to ask people, But happy birthday. I hope you have a good birthday. But yeah, and the other thing about pepper, I can blend it with, so I'm going to do some that's going to be like ghost pepper powder and maybe something, like a garlic or, something smoky in with it, because I want a smoky, garlicky heat. And then I'm going to do some that's like, maybe get some powders that are kind of sweet. Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for tuning in on your birthday. But yeah, just take this. So figure out, how much ghost pepper I can put in there. So I'm gonna standardize everything. I'm gonna have a certain size mixing cup. So in that cup, I'm gonna play with just a little bit of ghost pepper powder, taste it, and then, the next round, even add more ghost pepper. And, obviously all of our tolerances to heat, to spicy foods differs. But if I can find that sweet spot, in theory, this ghost pepper experiment should enable me to insert whatever seasonings to go along with the ghost pepper powder. So, I may have one that's, again, garlicky and smoky, and I may have another one that's sweet. And, just try all the different varieties, because once I know how much powder, once it's mixed, if I'm mixing with other powders, the degree of the degree of hotness should be about the same. I mean, unless I'm mixing with another powder that's also hot. Maybe I'll do a blend. Maybe I'll do a ghost pepper and a cayenne. Yeah, Pepper Grow Garden. Yeah, I mean, I need to start growing peppers. That's a great suggestion. I mean, once I get the pepper powder and experiment with that, then yeah, I definitely think growing peppers would be a great adventure. So, I don't know, just trying to think of things that taste good. And, also, and again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nutritionist or anything, but I am somebody that's chubby now because the gyms are closed. So I was thinking, what if I eat really spicy food? There's some people that say that eating really spicy food may help you to lose weight. And I don't know if that's the case. I just like hot food. Oh, watermelon and ghost pepper. That's an interesting combo. But then also I think of, hot food. I think it just, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just a weird experiment. So yeah, I mean, that's, that you can tell that I'm ready for the Mavic Air 2 to arrive this week, because I'm thinking about all of these ghost pepper experiments. But I mean, tell me if I'm crazy, but I think the ghost pepper stuff, and obviously I'll document all of this in videos. My ghost pepper experiments, I'll create a video series for that. And, y'all can obviously provide feedback, and it'll be easy if y'all want to replicate any of the experiments that I put together. I mean, I'll link all the ingredients and the amount of each ingredient that I use during my own experiments. So, y'all may have some, if y'all decide to do it too, you may tweak it with another spice or another additive and say, hey, try this. And, and this is stuff, just getting some cheap store brand tortilla chips out of the grocery store, and, maybe mixing this ghost pepper experimental blend with some olive oil and throwing those tortilla chips in the oven and, and coating them with this olive oil / ghost pepper spice blend. Afik says, look like you were the one who do most of the cooking. Yeah, I do. I do most of the cooking. My wife cooks a lot of good stuff, but I'm the one that does the grilling and the experimentation when it comes to stuff like ghost peppers. So, and I'm the one who likes to eat the most, and that's why I'm fat, because the gym's closed and this pandemic's got us all fattening up. But yeah, so I hope everybody's doing well. Got a lot of people tuning in, and I know, oh man, and I'm hoping, and let's see, what is today? Today is Tuesday. I'm hoping, my fingers are crossed, pandemic permitting, that I'm hoping that I will have Mavic Air 2 by Thursday. So in theory, we could be observing the Mavic Air 2 unboxing video as soon as Thursday evening here on my channel. So, obviously the unboxing is first, and then the the field test, the first time in the field. And what I want to do with the Mavic Air 2, like I do with most, or actually not most, I've done with all my drones. Brad said, I want it, but I feel it doesn't make sense for me to purchase one. Yeah, I agree. And it's I have the Mavic Mini and Mavic 2. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's kind of excessive to get another drone. I'm in kind of a weird spot. Yeah, holding out for Mavic 3. I'm in a weird spot, obviously, because I'm obsessed with reviewing drones, and and that's obviously what's prompted me to get the drone. I everything I can review. I mean, obviously, my YouTube channel, I want it to grow. I want it to, because it's the latest and greatest. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, but I feel it won't better my drone business. Yeah, I mean, what you've got, Mavic 2 Zoom, dude, that's perfectly fine for a drone business. That's more than awesome. And I mean, when you're dealing with an aerial business, aerial services business, you don't necessarily need. Here's the thing: when you're dealing with business, it's the customer doesn't care about the tool. All the customer cares about is the quality of the product delivered. And in that case, I have the Spark and Mavic Air 1 2 trophies at this point. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, from a business perspective, why increase your expenses if what you got works? And that makes perfectly good sense. Now, see, my side of the fence, though, is I'm a little bit different animal, because reviewing drones is an integral part of my business model. So for me to not get the latest DJI drone would be a disservice for my business, because I wouldn't get, the exposure from being able to review that new product. It would be a disservice for my fans, for my viewers, because they wouldn't get to see that new drone. And I do a lot of stuff. I don't just do YouTube, but I do a lot of stuff, man. It's just, I've found, and again, there's different business models out there, but I've found that the YouTube model is one of my favorite business models, and the reason I love it is just to kind of quickly summarize, is that YouTube is whatever one chooses to do. I mean, just like right now, I'm holding this cheap base model iPhone XR camera in my hand while I'm walking. But by doing this, I'm not. Hey, Philippe, welcome aboard, man. Able to interact with all y'all, and I mean, that's cool. So, yeah, I mean, I would do more with an aerial services business if. Here's the thing. Everybody's different. Everybody's got different skill sets. Everybody's got a different skill set, rather. And if you kind of hone in and say, okay, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, and these are my opportunities for growth. And this sounds like some sort of corny interview. I'm not gonna go down that route, but I'll make it entertaining. So the thing is, if you step back and look at yourself from a third person perspective, you can say, okay, this is, to maximize the possibility of becoming more profitable, this is what I should do, because this is what works for me. And in my case, what's worked for me is I put YouTube on a pedestal above traditional aerial services. Now, yeah, I mean, aerial services, I mean, you'll see, if you watch some of the big, and I'm not going to drop the names, but some of the big TV networks, and check out the drone footage that you see in some of those big documentaries on some of the big networks, and you'll probably see a lot of those, not a lot, but a considerable amount of those drone videos. This dude, and I'm not boasting about it, but I've had a reasonable amount of success there. And it's an interesting, aerial services business is an interesting business, because what I found with with this, with YouTube being my primary business venture, what I found with YouTube is that, unlike a traditional services type business where people would have to actively walk the streets or the virtual streets and sell their services, what I found about this is that, people will find you. I never advertise. People find you and they're like, well, hey man, I really liked the drone video of, insert whatever here, or I really liked the video of blah, blah, blah. Would you be willing to license that? Well, I might consider that. And then the business speak starts, and you either come to a deal or you don't. Some people are offended by the ask, and then some people are like, man, they feel like they're getting a good deal, and they probably are, because if you're selling any sort of service, especially this type of stuff where there's travel costs involved, obviously there's equipment, there's training, you got to be licensed to do this, all kinds of expenses that come into play, that let's say a large network, TV network, they want some footage, and it already exists, and it's already high quality, it's already 4K. Why would they want to incur the expense if they can just license it? Are they coming out with any new rules pertaining to drones? Oh man, there's a lot of stuff, and regulation, all the drone regulatory speak is something that fascinates me, but I don't want to go into too much depth because it's one of those things, I don't want to scare everyone out of the hobby. And it's easy any time that starts to step in on something, most any time that governments start to step in, this could be any country. The situation is often that what often happens is that, the overregulation makes something that was once an enjoyable experience unable to be enjoyed, and it often makes people turn and walk the other way. It's like, well, I would do that, but if I do that, I got to get, you got to have, you got to have a license for this, got to have a license for that. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where this remote ID thing goes. And if the remote ID is, at least initially, I would think that initially it would almost have to be a positive. But my fear is that, like anything else, they start to poke, they start to pull just a little bit of meat off the bone, and then before you know it, you're just left with a chicken carcass, and there's no opportunity for exploration there. And my fear is that if it's like most everything else, once enhanced regulation comes into play, look at it from this perspective. There's one way to look at it. Remote ID, it's okay, that's great. That allows the drone business to expand that previously couldn't expand because, drone delivery, blah, 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 was disallowed because there weren't certain key regulatory items in place that allowed it to happen. But if what they're truly doing is proposing this remote ID to enable new businesses to utilize drones, it could be a positive. And that may be the case, and that may be the case initially, and hopefully it'll continue to be the case. But my fear is that, at the end of the day, governments throughout the world, they're trying to find ways to collect taxes. So, it's one of those deals where if it's a business model that's taxable, yeah, let's figure out how to make it work. And I think in many countries, at least, I think that, sorry about that. Like always, if I hit a buffer, I'll definitely reconnect ASAP. It's just part of the problem. Yeah, dead zone. But yeah, with remote ID is that, in a perfect world, it would be something that would enable them to say, okay, these types of drone businesses, delivery and that sort of stuff that may have been disallowed in the past, maybe that's the thing that's needed to enable those businesses to grow. But if that happens, my fear is that, you know, for us hobbyists, that it's really going to potentially make the hobby more challenging to participate in. And I'm not trying to scare anybody, but, you know, I'm just saying enjoy these still new times while we can, because, you know, things could change. And all it takes, Geo1 says, how does Autel get away with having no geofencing in their drones? You know, I don't know. And I'd have to look back over the current guidelines and all that. And again, I'm not a lawyer or anything, I don't claim to be, but I don't know if they're, and correct me if I'm wrong, but is there actual verbiage in there that is making that a requirement now? And I know, you know, in some types of airspace, if you're able to fly, some types of airspace now require a transponder. So there's a lot of enhanced requirements, and I'm obviously talking beyond the hobbyist in a field that's nowhere near airports, you know, in unrestricted airspace. I'm talking beyond that. That's, you know, and that's where, you know, operating an aerial services business, it requires a lot of knowledge. You got to know how to read the sectional charts. You've got to know exactly what you're doing, and out of best practice. And there's actually there's a cool app. You can buy it's $1 million or so worth of liability insurance. You can buy it just for whatever for a specified radius. So if you're flying a commercial flight, you know, get that drone insurance, and, you know, if something unforeseen occurs, you know, it may better protect you. Again, may is a key word there, because nothing is guaranteed. So there's a lot of possibility for or a lot of opportunity rather for. And again, if I disconnect, I'll be right back. Philippe said, Mavic Air 2, if it arrives as expected, hope to have it here by Thursday. So hopefully Thursday evening, I'll have us if it arrives as expected, I'll have us an unboxing video of Mavic Air 2. And then we will have a weekend full of field test videos, question and answer videos. I'm going to take that Mavic Air 2 out and put it through its paces, man. No scripts. You know, I just show you how it is, how it performs for me. Nothing doctored up. So I'm excited. But yeah, you know, the aerial services stuff, and again, not trying to steer anybody towards it or away from it, but it's a playing field where you really need to know your stuff. Yeah, compare the Mavic 2 Pro versus Mavic Air 2 without a doubt. My biggest curiosity beyond the battery life is the camera's performance in low light, to see how that Mavic 2 Pro camera compares to Mavic Air 2. Remind everyone out there, had a bunch of people tuning in, if you haven't ordered Mavic Air 2 yet, head on over to epicdroneshow.com and you can find the link to order it there, both the bundles and the accessories. And also super chat or super sticker, it helps support these live shows, because studio upgrades, studio live streaming upgrades. There's going to be some cool stuff coming y'all's way, and hopefully that'll be hopefully we'll have that up this weekend too. But yeah, Brad, head on over to epicdroneshow.com and click buy a drone. You can find it there, Mavic Air 2, or just go to irixguy.com/Mavic Air 2, and you can find it there as well. But yeah, back to the aerial services thing. I love the idea of being an early adopter, and I do have well, actually I have several aerial services businesses, so I'm excited about that. But you know, it's a different playing field, completely different from YouTube. And what I love about YouTube is just the relaxed environment, the opportunity to explore different creation strategies, the opportunity to interact with others, and the opportunity to just push a button and conclude a video or a live broadcast and not have the tether, not being tethered to a client. Because there's some clients out there that are great to work with. You know, they say, okay, this is what we want, and they let you do your job. There's some clients out there that are nitpicky, which I respect that. You know, you want exactly what you want, and that's why you're paying a professional for those services. That's all right. But then you get these people, these clients that are so difficult. It's like, well, wow, you know, that was a great gig. They were happy with the product, but you know, look at how many resources how much resources I wasted on that job. You know, travel, you know, resource can be travel, it can be monetary, it can be time. Time is a resource. You know, I wasted all these resources on this gig. You know, what could I have done in that same amount of time and potentially made more money and potentially been more at ease? Geo, thank you. Awesome, man. Appreciate it. We got a super chat from Geo1. That is super duper. I appreciate it. But yeah, you know, and it's not, and again, not everything, it's not like everything has to be related to money. But if you're a business person, you know, time is money, and it's a matter of, okay, there's, you know, something that's not going to change. There's 24 hours in a day. So with 24 hours in the day, you know, how can one best optimize those 24 hours? And that's where I've been doing. I've performed several deep dive analysis sessions to decipher all that. And, you know, I found that, you know, for me, my number one is YouTube. But that doesn't mean it's just YouTube. You know, there's opportunities for all kinds of stuff. And it's just a matter of figuring out what works best. And that's why, you know, for me, YouTube is number one. Although I do own an aerial services business, several aerial services businesses. I don't know. And maybe I'm not innovative enough within that space. But it's just something about, you know, the drone review process, you know, referring people like y'all to my website to buy the latest drones and accessories. And most importantly, just having fun and being relaxed and not having a manager, just doing my own gig, you know. When I review a drone, it's me. I'm not barking up to anyone, and I don't have any allegiance to the drone manufacturer either. So, you know, that's what makes it fun. And, you know, granted, if I didn't run this channel, and if I didn't have all of y'all all the viewers that are here, then, you know, this wouldn't exist, because although I enjoy YouTube, I wouldn't be able to march forward with this business if I didn't have support from all of y'all. And again, that support, it comes in so many different ways. And, you know, ultimately, you know, since the early days, I said, okay, streaming video, and, you know, I was a later adopter of YouTube, but streaming video is what will replace traditional television networks. We're already seeing it happening. And, you know, my goal as an entrepreneur and a hobbyist and just someone that likes to lead a more relaxed life, my goal is to incubate a virtual piece of real estate. that being Irish Guys Adventure Channel. And it's really cool. And you know, one thing I've learned from actually from YouTube strategists that I work with, and then also just some public informational type videos that shared by YouTube, is that, you know, it's a sandbox that, you know, they are still exploring themselves. And you know, YouTube is heavily dependent upon every content creator to learn how to, you know, to better improve their platform. I mean, obviously, you know, YouTube is pretty much in it for the money. I mean, YouTube is, you know, when they have people creating videos for them, that's driving advertisers to YouTube. And when advertisers are driven to YouTube, that creates, you know, money for YouTube. And then, you know, part of that ad revenue goes to the creators. But it's an interesting, you know, again, since I discovered YouTube by mistake, when they invited me to become a partner because of that cruise ship video, you know, it's just like got my mind turning. I'm like, this is a business. But even though YouTube's been around for many years now, as far as people learning how to better understand YouTube as a business, and then learning how to better optimize their own content as a business, it's still in its infancy from that perspective. So, you know, that's what I've, you know, always being a business person, that's what I've challenged myself with is, you know, how can I better learn this tool? And again, you can check out my videos, several years of videos already, and I'm still learning the tool, and the tool's constantly evolving. So it's really cool, man. I don't know. I like to nerd out over business ventures, and this is one that I continue to nerd out over, and it's remained at the top of my list of entrepreneurial pursuits. And unless something unforeseen occurs, you know, this will remain my number one gig. And it's just fun, man. It's educational, it's fun. And with that being said, I've got to get some equipment ready in preparation for the Mavic Air 2's arrival. So I'm going to go work on that equipment. And as soon as that Mavic Air 2 arrives, we will have the unboxing, the field test, and more. Be thinking of your questions. Think of what you want me to test in the field, and I will do as much as I can. And thanks again for the super chat. In the super chats, y'all's viewership, and y'all have a good day. Be safe. Wash your hands. I'd scrub my hands together, but I'm holding this phone, and I'm social distancing. So y'all have a good one. Always a pleasure.